Alright guys, you guys have finished part 1 where you sketch a design, either your name or anything cool that you want to draw. You number each line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You number them all up to 20. You should have at least 20 lines if you want an A+ on the video. So let's begin part 2. For part 2, we will be writing the equation with the domain and restriction for each line. So looking at my example, I have my first line right here. I'm going to only do 3 lines. I'm going to do this pink line, this green line, and last the yellow line, or this orange line. This orange line will be a horizontal line. So ultimately, you guys will only have 3 types of line, right? You guys have a vertical line that goes up and down, a diagonal line. Your diagonal lines might go with a negative slope or positive slope. And the last one is a horizontal line. So I'm going to show you how to write the equation for all 3 of those. You will need to finish part 2 before we move on to part 3. If you do part 3 without doing part 2, you will be very, very confused. So let's do part 2. So here we go. You guys have this paper for part 2. So let's go ahead, let's read the directions. On this paper, you are going to write the equation with the domain and range restrictions for each line. If you have 20 lines, you will write 20 equations. If you have more than 20 lines, you will need a second paper. So if you guys use more than 20 lines, you guys will need a second paper. All right, so let's do my first line. So here's line number 1, and I numbered my line already. Here's line number 1. All right, so what type of line is this? Is this vertical, horizontal, or diagonal? This is a line that goes up and down, so this will be a vertical line. And next, I'm going to show my equation work. So for my equation work for the vertical line, luckily this one does not have that much work. I will write the equation for this line. So this line right here, if I extend it all the way, it crosses the x-axis at, let's see, here's 1, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8, -9, -10. So if I were to extend this line, it would hit the x-axis at x equals -10. So my equation work for this one is kind of easy. It's just x equals -10. It's just a line that goes up and down and crosses the x-axis at -10. I do have to write my equation will be x equals -10. My domain or range restriction. So this one, because it is an up and down line, I will do a range restriction. That means that I'm going to have to cut it off from here to here. Right? So on my pink line, if I were to look to the y-axis for the range, I'm going from 2, which is right here, all the way up to 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, to right here. So this is from 2 to 10. So my range restriction for this line will be y, will be from the lowest point, from 2 less than or equal to y less than or equal to 10. And I'm going to start doing this. That way you guys will start using it onto these are fancy brackets. You guys will see this in part 3. But I'm just putting fancy brackets around my range restriction. So I did the equation for the first line. For the second line, my second line will be line number 2. For line number 2, this is a diagonal line. For diagonal lines, I will need 2 points. When you guys draw your points, hopefully, or when you guys drew your lines, hopefully your points went from one box to the end of a second box. That's going to make your life a lot easier. So for this green line, this first one, I'm going to put at -10, -10. -10, -10. And my second dot, it ends right here. It's going to be at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. -6, comma 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this green line goes from -10 to -6, 7. So my 2 points is at negative 10, comma 10, and at negative 6, comma 7. From here, we're going to find the slope. The slope is delta y over delta x. I like doing this delta way, it's easier for us to understand. I have negative 3 going down 3, and this one's going up plus 4. So my slope, m, is equal to negative 3 over 4. All right, part 2, I will put this into point slope. So y minus y1 is equal to m parentheses x minus x1. Y minus my y1, I'm going to choose, let's do this value. I'm going to do this value. So I'm going to do y minus 7 is equal to my slope, which is negative 3 over 4, parentheses x minus negative 6, which becomes x plus 6. So you guys might need a little bit more scratch paper. So I'm going to go ahead and distribute this. Y minus 7 is equal to distribute, negative 3 over 4x. Multiplying this out gives me negative 18 over 4. Which I can convert that to a decimal. I think that becomes negative 4.5. Last step to get y by itself, add 7. At 7, y is equal to negative 3 over 4x plus 3.5. So here's your equation. Y is equal to negative 3 over 4x plus 3.5. I will still have to do a domain restriction on this just because I don't want my line to go all the way through, right? My line only goes from here to here. So from the left x value to the right x value. So from negative 10, that's less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to negative 6. So negative 10 less than or equal to x, less than or equal to negative 6. Put these fancy brackets in, and it will be helpful for you for part 3. And I know this is a long video, but bear with me. My last one is going to be a horizontal line. My last one is going to be this line that's going to be from right here. This line hits the y-axis. This is line number 5. It hits the y-axis. If I were to draw it out all the way, hits the y-axis at 10. So for number 5, I have a horizontal line, and I'm going to have y is equal to 10. This is my equation. Y is equal to 10. Now I need to cut this because I don't want this line to go all the way through. I only want it from here to here. So this one, I'm going to do a domain restriction. Since I'm cutting it like this, I'm going to cut it from, this is from 2 to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2 to 7. So again, your domain restriction is going to go from the most left value, 2 is less than or equal to x, less than or equal to 7. When you guys graph this, it'll all make sense later. But for now, we need to write the equation, so when we graph it, it'll be a lot easier. All right, you guys will have 2 days to do this. Please work diligently. I know I'm not going to be there, but if you guys need help, ask the sub, ask your peers, ask your classmates. Write the equation for all of your lines. You guys have 20 equations to write. It's going to take a good amount of time. Start now, finish out on Tuesday, and you'll be ready next Monday. Thank you. Bye.